We talk about China, where another leader is on weak footing, Xi Jinping. He's supposed to be re-elected later this year in November. A third term for Xi Jinping seemed certain until last year. But now there are doubts. The reason is zero COVID. Xi Jinping's obsession with zero COVID is weakening his position as president. Our next report tells you how.
2022 was supposed to be a defining year for Xi Jinping. This year, he is expected to be re-elected for a record third term. But 2022 is not going the way Xi Jinping had planned. Zero COVID could derail the Chinese president's big party. What is zero COVID? China's policy to completely crush the Wuhan virus, it has backfired. The latest round of lockdowns have left a deep impact on the Chinese economy. In April, exports from China grew by less than 4%. That's the lowest in 2 years. Unemployment in urban centers has touched 6.1%, the highest since the pandemic began. The latest COVID wave hit almost 40% of China's GDP. That's more than $7 trillion. Now the lockdowns are over. But economic activity in China still remains muted. People are worried for the future. They fear another round of lockdowns could ruin their livelihoods. There is pressure on Xi Jinping to withdraw zero COVID. WHO chief Dr. Tedros had applauded the policy 2 years ago. But he now believes zero COVID is unsustainable. Even Chinese experts agree with that assessment, but the Chinese president disagrees. Xi Jinping has refused to change course. Last month, he warned top Chinese officials President Xi Jinping sought a crackdown against those who dare to question zero COVID. Experts say he's following in the footsteps of the autocratic Ming dynasty. It was founded by the Han Chinese in 1368. They ruled over China for about 3 centuries. At that time, a major bubonic plague outbreak had hit China. It is believed over 200,000 people died in the Great Plague. The Ming Emperor responded with a zero-plague policy. Just like in the present day, the movement of people was severely restricted. The success of zero plague strengthened the Ming Emperor. Xi Jinping is trying to replicate that same success, but his obsession with zero COVID is creating social unrest. The people of China are frustrated with repeated lockdowns. Thousands of them protested the curbs in Shanghai. There were protests in Beijing too. 2 weeks ago, hundreds of university students gathered on campus. They were worried about pandemic restrictions. Some of them took to social media. They wanted to know when and how their final examinations would take place and if they will be allowed to leave campus and return home. Xi Jinping wants these voices of dissent to be crushed. These protests pose a big threat to the Chinese president. They could derail the 20th National Congress in November, where Xi Jinping is expected to seek his third term. At the beginning of the pandemic, zero COVID was Xi Jinping's most powerful weapon. Now, it has become his biggest liability.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.